Hi everyone, good evening. I hope you are able to hear me. Can anyone please confirm?
Yes, Bhaskar. Yeah, we are able to hear.
Yes, we
Perfect.
can hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much for confirmation. Yeah, so this is Bhaskar. I have 14 plus years of IT experience. I started my career with ETL developer from Microsoft Business Intelligence. So that is SQL Server Integration Services. And I work for complete MS-based stack. And later I got a chance to work for Microsoft, where I worked for more than 8.5 years. And there I adopted all these new technologies, the big data technologies, Azure Data Factory, Azure Databricks, and Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, and so on. And currently I'm working for one of the Indian-based company as a senior data engineer from Hyderabad. So this is briefly about me. And I'm just going to talk about the journey of Azure data engineering professionals. Like if you want to become, or if you wanted to upgrade your skill set, or if you wanted to get more hike in your CTC or in your career, then how exactly you can drive your career path that we are going to discuss on today. So first of all, maybe you're aware of data engineer. What data engineers are going to do it? As a data engineer, what we are going to do? From where or what kind of activities we're going to do is, in general, the name itself saying, when I say data, we're always going to do the data processing. We're going to deal with the data. So there are many people are there to deal with the data, and we can have a business data analyst or reporting developers. There are many people, data scientists and machine learning. All these people are also going to deal with the data. Apart from them, extensively, we are going to deal with the data because we are responsible. As we are data engineers, we are responsible to give the data to the different people. So at this point of time, I wanted to say, as a data engineer, you're going to deal with the data. So what you're going to do with the data? If there is any business, there will be a data. If you take Amazon, most of you are aware of it, right? Amazon or Flipkart or any business application, if you take ICICI, all these are the businesses. All these people are going to have the data. So that means we need to store the data. We need to process the data. So data is a fuel. Without data, no business can run in the market. So that much important it is. And we are going to process the data, and we are going to give the data to the downstream systems. Okay, so how exactly we can, how we can get the data, we'll see. With this data, we are going to do the two operations, basically. One is storage we are going to do when you have a data, and we are going to do the processing. So processing is very important for us. 90% of the work we are going to do with the only processing. Only max to max 5 to 10% we are going to deal with the storage. Of course, storage we are going to use, but the spending of the time with the storage is not more than 5 to 10%. So processing is important. So olden days, people used to process the data before big data or before Azure Data Engineer. I told you I started my career with SSIS, right? So SSIS is used to do the data processing only. It's a traditional tool. So we need to know about the ETL processing. What is this ETL processing? We are going to extract the data in general. If you have a data in the business systems, you may have a data in a databases. You may have a data in the databases. Or you may have a data in the file systems. So sometimes you're going to get the data in the form of files also. So because of that reason, I'm just saying files. Now we have a REST APIs also. There are many sources are available to have the business data. So I wanted to say all these systems are the business systems. All these systems are the business systems, and these systems are going to capture the data for the business purpose. So we can say all of them as a OLTP systems. All these systems are known as a OLTP systems. Now, as a data engineer, you have to pull the data from all these places. The data was distributed here. The data was distributed across the different platforms and different systems in the different flavors. In somewhere we may have a file, in somewhere we may have a data in the form of structure, in the form of unstructured, the varieties of the data we're having it. So I'll give the brief, I'm just going to give the brief idea about only how we are going to do the data processing. But in general, from the regular sessions, we're going to talk about each and everything in detail. Now, we need to extract the data from all these systems. In order to extract the data, there are many ETL tools were there. Even in the before Hadoop also we were having it. So I mean to say, I'm just saying traditional ETL tools, or let's say traditional transformation tools. Just imagine. So all these transformation tools are traditional ETL tools used to implement ETL processing. You can extract the data, and then you can transform the data. And once you have done the transformation, then you're going to load the data into the staging. We're going to load the data into the staging. So what is the staging? We'll talk about it. These are all traditional approach. So example for this is we have a SSIS from the Microsoft traditional ETL tool, Informatica, Talent, or Data Stage. All these are the traditional ETL tools. But these systems are not capable enough for us at this point of time because data was grown like anything. So before decade ago, this is fine. But now the market is not utilizing these services. They have to upgrade. This Informatica is trying to get update with different ways. They're trying to get it because if they wanted to stand in the market, then they have to come with the different strategies. So this SSIS is replaced with the Azure Data Factory and Azure Databricks from the Microsoft in order to stay in the market. So all these tools will be used to transform the data and load the data into the target. So in the later stage, we are going to have a data warehouse. In the later stage, we are going to have a data warehouse. So this data warehouse will be used for reporting purpose. This is for analytical purpose. So this is how the traditionally used to apply. But this was gone completely, almost 80 to 90% is gone. The approach is changed from the ETL to ELT. Extraction, loading, and transformation. Extraction, loading, and transformation came into the picture as we are going to do the data processing. Okay, so two operations, as I said, we are going to do with the data. One is storage. So storage platforms also changed. I'm going to talk about how exactly the distributed approach is going to work and how exactly the monolithic approach is going to work. We'll talk about it. And then processing, we have a varieties of the processing systems in the market. So since these systems are failed, Hadoop came into the picture. In order to do the same thing, in place of this, we have a Hadoop. So they started taking the data behalf of these traditional tools, and they used to store the data in the Hive. HBase or Hive, something like that, they used to store it. So this is how they used to prepare the data when there is a varieties of the data. But even this also is got almost failed now. People are almost stopped to use Hadoop in the market. So maybe later 2 or 3 years, we cannot see the people in the Hadoop environment. So now entire thing we are having in the Azure. So how we can do the data processing with the cloud technologies. So cloud technologies also is started providing the data processing. So from Microsoft Azure, I just said if you wanted to store the data from the Microsoft storage and processing. So I'm just saying with respect to Azure, we have a Azure data lake storage N2 because we are going to have a big data. So what do you mean by big data? So we have a V's are there, three V's are there generally. So I'll talk about it at the time of Databricks. I'm going to talk more in detail. Okay, so based on that, we can say in general term, I'm just going to say big data means a data that cannot be stored is known as a big data, or the data that cannot be processed, which is system. That data also we can call it as a big data. So if your system is not capable enough to process the data, or if your system is not capable enough to store the data, so that kind of data we can call it as a big data. Let's say, for example, I have a laptop. My laptop capacity is 500 GB. 500 storage is there. Now I wanted to store the data 501 GB. Is that possible to store the data? 100% is not possible because the capacity of the storage is only 500 GB. So if that is the case, this data is a big data. Now let me take a Gmail. A Gmail, if you take, can you send, this is going to allow to send up to 25 MB, if I'm correct. Not sure if there is a updation is done. If I have a 26 MB attachment, I cannot send it. So in terms of this Gmail, this 26 MB is a big data because you're not able to process it. You're not able to send the data. So in the same way, in the same way, if your laptop is having 500 GB, if you're not able to store, that we can call it as a big data. And if you're not able to process, or if you're not able to send to the audience, then this data also we can say it is a big data. So if your system is not capable enough to store the data, that we can call it as a big data. And if your system is not capable enough to process the data, then we can say it is a big data. And also, if your system is supporting to store only structured data, we have a three V's are there. Volume is there, velocity, and variety. Okay, so if you have a more volume, then we can say it is a big data. So more volume means what? It's not like a TB or something like that. You have some data, that data is not possible to process with your system. In that system perspective, we can say it is a big data. And velocity, how fast we're getting the data to store. That we can call it as a velocity. How fast or how frequently we're generating the data by the business. And varieties of the data, we are going to have a structured data. In this particular case, structured. So before Hadoop and all, we are having only structured data. All the databases are going to support only structured data. And we are also going to have a semi-structured data. We need to process the semi-structured data. So what is a semi-structured data and how we can do processing of your semi-structured data? We're going to see that. And unstructured data also we are having it. So if you have a database, if you have an Oracle database, or if you have a SQL Server database, you cannot store the unstructured data here because they are going to allow only if there is a schema. So schema read systems. There are many differences are there. I'm going to talk about it. The differences between OLTP system and WLAP system. At higher level, I'm just giving. So this is what the big data. If you wanted to store the big data in Microsoft Azure, how Microsoft is providing the solution to store the data is by using Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 is a storage which is specifically designed for big data. And we're also having a Azure SQL Server here to store structured data. We're also going to see that, but not for big data. It is just for storing structured data. And we have a Cosmos DB. Okay, so this all the storages are provided from the Microsoft Azure. And in order to process the data, traditionally we were having SSIS, Informatica, and data stays. There are many services are there to process it. When it comes to the Microsoft Azure, I'm just going to say Azure Data Factory. So this is very important. So all the data ingestion we are going to do with the Azure Data Factory only. So two operations, most of the projects, 90% of the project is going to do. If it is a Azure 100%, I'm sure they're going to do the two operations with the Azure Data Factory. One is a data ingestion you are going to do, and data orchestration. These two operations we are going to do with the Azure Data Factory. And there is a one more service that is very important. So that is Azure Databricks. Without Azure Databricks, you cannot be a data engineer. If you ask me which one is high priority, I go with the Databricks. If you're strong enough with the Databricks, then getting a job and getting a high package is very easy. If you're strong enough only in the Azure Data Factory, even you don't get a job, I'm sure. But if you are strong in Azure Databricks also, I'm saying also, if you have only Azure Databricks, again, it is a problem. Because data ingestion, data orchestration, people used to do with the data factory. So here we are going to do one operation. Of course, we can also do the orchestration here. We have a feasibility, but when you're going with the Microsoft Azure, they're recommended to use a data factory to do data ingestion and data orchestration. But Databricks is specifically designed more and more. 90% of the projects are going to do a data transformation with Azure Databricks. So that means we are going to do the data transformation. We're going to do a data transformation with the Azure Databricks. If you have a only project with Azure Databricks, if they don't have a Azure Data Factory, then orchestration also we can do with the Databricks. Orchestration also we can do it. But this is an optional. Okay. So if you have only Azure Databricks, I'm sure we're going to use the Azure Databricks itself to orchestrate it. So in one of my projects, we used Azure Databricks itself. In my experience, most of the times in the data engineering projects, we used Azure Data Factory for data ingestion and data orchestration. I'm sure if it is a pure ETL project or ELT project, then definitely it is going to have this two. I'm sure about it. This two will be there. Majority of the work is going to done with these two services. So your entire work experience, in order to work in the working point of view, 90% of the time you're going to spend with only these two services. And these two are the processing. Now, presently, even Microsoft started branding another service, that is Microsoft Fabric. So all together in one umbrella. I don't need to store the data separately. I don't need to process the data separately. I don't need to go for different services to work. So Microsoft came up with one umbrella. You can sit in one umbrella, you can work all together at one place. You can do the data ingestion here itself. and you can do the data transformation. You can do the data storage, and you can do the data transformation. Yeah, I already kept it. So all these things you are going to do it here itself. There are many services are there. Even a data analyst also you can do. I mean to say data analyst or reporting that we can say. So I'm going to brief about your Microsoft Fabric also as part of our training. And Microsoft is concentrating more and more on Microsoft Fabric. Maybe later 2 or 3 years, we may not see the Azure Data Factory alone out of this umbrella. They brought this data factory into this umbrella. Okay, so they started providing their own solution to provide the transformation the way the Databricks is providing. So it's a little long story. If I explain now, you may get little confusion. Forget about it, as it is a very new market is not ready to adopt this particular technology at this point of time. So it takes some time, but I'm sure later 2 years you are going to work with Microsoft Fabric. You or me, many of us is going to work with the Microsoft Fabric. But if you wanted to work, even if you're not aware of this, if you want to work with the Microsoft Fabric, keep in mind you should aware of all these technologies. Okay, so instead of having isolated services in order to store the data, in order to process the data from Microsoft Azure, so Microsoft brought all together into one platform. So as a data engineer, you're going to store the data and you're going to process the data. And who is the consumers of your data? So once you've done the data processing, you're taking the data and you're applying the data processing. So once you've done the data processing with varieties of the services, then you're going to load the data into target. I'm just giving a target. The target is mostly you're going to have a lakehouse. Okay, lakehouse or a data lake. So not data lake, delta lake. Okay, so we can also call it as a delta lake. But basically we used to call it as a lakehouse. So lakehouse is going to have a delta tables. In the target, we are going to have a delta tables. It's not a normal tables. They're going to be delta tables. So what it is, we'll talk about all these things. We're going to have a medallion architecture. So in generally, when you go for data engineering projects, we're going to have a bronze, a silver, and gold. So 3 layers we are going to have when you go for the project. And before that, all these things are the data ingestion. All this part is the data transformation. Okay, so data transformation is very, very important. If you're not having enough skill set with the Databricks, then getting a job in Azure data engineering or surviving as a data engineer is very difficult. So from here, who is going to take the data is reporting team will connect and take the data. Reporting team will take the data, and data scientist also is going to take the data from here. And machine learning, ML also will be applied, and analytics teams also can take the data from here. So we are going to have a transformed data here. So who is going to provide this transformed data right from the business? This entire role is going to be a data engineers. So if there is no data engineers, data scientists cannot work, and a reporting team cannot work. Okay, so if you have a 20 employees, if we need 20 employees out of 20, I'm sure 15 to 16 we're going to have here itself. The people who are going to work with the data. Okay, so rest of the people can go for other areas. So that much important it is. So Microsoft is concentrated more on data processing side. Microsoft concentrated more on data processing side. So because of that reason, we were having more jobs on the data processing from the Microsoft. So Microsoft Azure is the topmost data processing provider in the market. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the different types of clouds and different cloud providers and what are the different services we're having. And before, if I wanted to do the data processing with Azure, how we can provide, and if it is a AWS, how we can provide the data processing. I'll just give a brief idea about it so that we can have an idea. But I just talked about the extensively with Azure even today, how we can do the data processing and data transformation. So as a data engineer, we are going to do the two responsibilities only two. So one is data ingestion and data transformation. These two operations only are going to do it. Of course, you will be having a scheduling, orchestration, all those things will be there. So as part of the data ingestion, there are many activities that we are going to do it. Even of course, data transformation. So all those things I'm going to talk more in detail throughout our regular sessions. Okay. Now I'm just going to take you through the content of the course. Okay, so what we are going to do for the basically this entire session is going to be, I mean, this is completely live sessions only. Okay, so live sessions we're going to have, and daily is 1 hour because even I'm working professional, so I need to go to the office and all. So I'm just going to spend 1 hour daily, and from Monday to Saturday. So weekly 7 days. Okay, so Sunday also I'm going to have a one-to-one sessions. If you need any talk directly to me, you can talk to me, and we're going to have that. And apart from that, the duration of this course is 3 months. So 3 months, it may go little extend also. Okay, so you need to be stay with me. And in order to understand all these things, I need to cover SQL and Python. So most of you may be aware of this SQL, but still I'm just going to take you through. And these two are out of this duration. Okay, so I plan to take in a different time and different place. I mean to say a different time zone because I need extensively 3 months for pure data engineering services. So these two are the supporters for your data engineering services. Without SQL, you cannot work with the data transformation because Databricks is going to support both Python and SQL. So both are required. Why both are required? You can get to understand when I talk with the delta tables. And Python also is very important if you wanted to apply the data transformation. Either you can go with the SQL or you can go with the Python, but surely Python is required. So Python basics are very important to go for Databricks. Before going to the Databricks, you need to be aware of the basics of the Python. And whatever is required for data engineering, that only will be covered from the Python. Because we are not a Python developers. Okay, we are not going to be Python developers, we are going to be a data engineers. So in order to deal with the data, what is required that I'm going to take from this particular place? So we are going to concentrate on the Spark. So Spark framework, we are going to concentrate. How architecture is going to work. So what is the job? What is the stage? And what is the DAG? Okay, so all those things we are going to talk. Performance tuning is important. Okay, so you have to give some explanation about your project. Okay, so the entire project I'm going to take you through end to end. We are going to spend more than 20 hours with the project itself. Okay, so the duration is required for talking about all these things. So I'm just going to take, and these two are out of this duration. I'm again repeating, it's not part of this. And Okay, so let me walk you through the content of this course so that you can have some idea about it. So I'm going to talk about the basics of data engineer, basics of cloud computing. So what is on-premise? What is a cloud? What are the different types of deployment models? All these things are just make you to understand why we need to go for Azure. Okay, so this is not going to talk about the data engineering, but why we need to go for Azure from on-prem systems. That is going to help you to understand. And later I'm going to talk about specific to Microsoft Azure introduction. What are the different approaches to go for utilizing the services of Microsoft Azure, how we can take the service from there. And again, this is for understanding the basics of this Azure. Then I told you we are going to do the two operations. One is a storage and processing. So in order to process the data first, you need to be aware of the storage. So that is Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So how we can make this Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 as a lakehouse, or how we can make this Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 to store the Delta Lake tables, that we are going to say at the time of Databricks. But before that, we need to talk extensively about your storage. So that I'm going to talk about it as part of this. So this is all again understanding only, not required extensively more in detail. And then I'm going to talk about one more storage is there from Microsoft Azure apart from the ADLS. So ADLS is designed for big data processing. So the SQL Server, for two reasons we are going to use. One is for having a metadata. So what is the metadata? Why we need to keep the metadata? We'll talk about it. And other reason is sometimes you may have a source systems. We are not having any control on it. Okay, so you may have a source systems. SQL Server, when I say it may be cloud or on-prem. And we are just going to read the data in that case, but extensively as a data engineer, we are going to use only for metadata purpose. And one more is logging purpose. We are going to use this particular system. So otherwise, we are not going to use it. Only for these two reasons only we are going to use as a data engineer. So I'm just going to talk about it. What are the different types of purchasing models? So this is all going to be helpful. Sometimes they're going to ask in the interview also. What are the different types of purchasing models you're having? So do you aware of it? What do you mean by elastic pool? So something like this, there is a chances to ask in the interview. I'm sure about it because SQL Server is your server, is a data server from the Microsoft. It's very important. And we cannot avoid the SQL Server. Okay, so for usage point of view, I'm saying logging purpose and metadata details we are going to use for these reasons. And we are going to see as part of our regular sessions. And then I'm going to talk about data processing. So data processing is very, very important. So storage, you're just giving a connectivity only, nothing more than that. But data processing, you have to do it. So this is all from this particular place, every point is important for interview point of view. So definitely they're going to ask about what is the differences between ETL and ELT. What is the data factory? Why you need to go for data factory? You're already having some solution with SSIS, or you're having some solution with Hadoop. So why we need to move from one place to other place? So that is going to be discussed as part of it. And data factory architecture, I'm going to talk, and components of a data factory, I'm going to talk about it. So varieties of the integration runtimes, 100% you will be having the questions. And link services, data sets, data flows, pipelines, triggers, all these are the building blocks. If some work comes to you, how exactly you're going to start doing the work? You're not just go and open the data facts and start creating a pipeline. No, that is not going to do. So first you need to understand the requirement. Understand the requirement. Okay, so what are the key points that you need to understand when you get a requirement? So first you need to see this, we need to understand what sources are required, what tables are required, what columns are required, and what type of loading it is. Type of loading. You have to decide. Business will not come and will not come with the decision. Okay, and key columns. What are the key columns you're having? What are the filter columns you're having? What is the frequency of loading? There are many things I'm just saying. Okay, so this is what you have to do first. Once you have done this, then you have to start doing a development. Okay, so if someone comes and gives works to you, you're not going to start immediately. So if you don't know what type of loading, what is the use of doing the development? So there is no use. If you don't know what are the key columns and intention of that particular requirement, if you're not aware of it, then there is no purpose of creating a pipeline. So what type of loading it is, or what type of implementation they're doing? Is that SCD type 1 or SCD type 2? So why we need to go for incremental loading or full loading? All these things you have to understand it. So that I'm going to talk as part of our sessions. So there is a copy activity which is specifically used for data ingestion. I'm going to talk about it more in detail, how exactly we can do it. So everyone is going to do the data ingestion. If I have 100 tables, so this is one of the interview question recently one of our students faced. If I have 100 tables, how you're going to start doing the development? I wanted to load the data from 100 tables to target. Your target is ADLS and my source is on-prem SQL Server. So are we going to create 100 pipelines? Are we going to create 50 pipelines? What is your approach? So that you have to explain. So that we are going to do it. So that I'm going to talk about it here. And variable activity is very, very important if you wanted to create a dynamic pipelines. When I say dynamic pipelines means data-driven pipelines. So data-driven pipelines, if you wanted to create it, then variable activity is also required. There are many things are required. So this is also is one of the options that I feel very important. And get metadata activity to deal with the file system. We're going to use that. And how we can do the incremental file loading, how we can do the incremental data loading that we're going to see. And filter activity, we are going to come across it. And lookup activity, 100% we are going to face an interview question this part. And for each activity, and how can you decide we need to go with the for each activity? So that we are going to discuss. When the moment we talk about the requirement, you can understand what activity is suitable. And if you wanted to check something by gatekeeper, that gatekeeper is if condition activity, and delete activity, switch activity. To control the flow of executions, we're having switch activity. And if you wanted to remove anything, then we can go for delete. And stored procedure activity, we are going to use extensively for logging the data most of the time, but we can also use for other purposes. Until activity and validation activity, we are going to see fail activity. In one case, I came across this, that use case, I'm going to start talking about it. We were having one of the project, we were having early refresh. So when we have a early refresh, that time we use this fail activity. So for doing an intentional failure, and data flow is also there here. So data factory is going to support even data transformation also. All these are the data transformations, but not even 5% is using market. So market is not much ready to use it. Because of that reason, people are much more interested with the Databricks. So Databricks is very, very faster and it is very easy to development. If you do the same notebook, if you do the same notebook here, if it is taking 1 hour, it may take even 1 day or 2 days also to do it. So that much difficult. If there is any fix, if I wanted to do it, I can do it very easily here. within a few minutes, but here it may take days also. You feel that when we come across the data flow and Databricks, then you can understand how exactly it is going to be there. And this is very, very important. Without code repository, you never work as a data engineer. So if you work as a ADE, and if you say, I don't know about a repository, then they feel you're not having experience. I'm sure about it. So repository right from the creating and moving from the code, and CI/CD pipeline also is important. Continuous integration and continuous development. How can we move the code from the dev to test and test to prod? How we can move is by using the CI/CD pipelines. So I'm going to take you through how we can do it with the data factory. So CI/CD pipeline is common for every software, every language, every application. If you are working as a Java developer, for Java developer also requires CI/CD. Or if you're working as only a SQL developer, still you require CI/CD pipeline because repository is required. You have to maintain the versioning. So that details we are going to talk about in this place, how we can create a branch and how we can set up with the Azure Data Factory. We're going to talk about all these things here, and it is very, very important. So one project I'm going to talk about as part of our Azure Data Factory, which is specific to only Data Factory. So I'll give the context and I'm going to make you to do it. So this is about Azure Data Factory. Then Azure Databricks. So I told you, if you don't know about this one, then getting a job is very, very difficult. So PySpark, when I say PySpark, it is equivalent to Databricks. So on top of the PySpark, we are having a Azure Databricks. Okay, so I'm just giving brief idea about it. Spark is a framework. So Databricks company use that particular Spark to brought this product, and even Microsoft also has done that is a Fabric now. I'm just saying previously I used to say data flow also is the same. So data flow is also going to work with the Spark framework. Fabric also is going to work with the Spark framework, and AWS Glue is there. So that is also is going to work with like your Spark on top of the Spark cluster. They're having a tool. So like this, there are many people are there to provide a solution on top of the Spark. Okay, so the way the Spark is going to work in the similar way, my explanation is going to be there. The only thing is the environment, we're going to use Databricks environment. Because if I go and talk with Apache Spark, so it is not having UI. The Apache Spark is not having no UI, no customer support. Okay, so no cluster, no storage. There are many no's. But when you go for Databricks, we have everything is yes. UI is there, and customer support is there. I'll talk about all these things, why people are moving towards to the Databricks. I'll talk about it. The founders of the Spark started a company called Databricks. Just imagine. Okay, and you can do the cluster with just in fingertips. Okay, and storage also we are having. They're associated with the storage with Azure and AWS. So because of that reason, we're having many features in the Databricks. So in order to make you understand this Databricks, we are going to spend some time with the Python. So Python is important for working as a data engineer, I'm sure. And then I'm going to talk about the PySpark introduction. So how exactly the Hadoop was working, and later how Spark is working, and then followed by Databricks, we are going to see, so that you can understand how exactly the evaluation is happened, how Databricks evolved, that we are going to see as part of this. And then Databricks introduction, specific to the Azure Databricks introduction, we are going to see. And if you wanted to deal with the file system in the Databricks, we're having a DB utils. So DB utils are there. So we have a varieties of utils, file system utils, run utils, notebook utils. Okay, so we are going to say whatever we required for data engineer that I'm going to take you through. Basically, when you go for Databricks, we are having a two approaches. In order to do the transformation, we have a two flavors are there to do the data transformation. One is RDD, resilient distributed data set, and other is data frame. So RDD is not using the market. So this content is having a RDD, but I'm just going to take out this RDD from this content. We are going to concentrate more on this particular place because market is using only data frame. So when data frame API is getting used more and more, then RDD is not required to spend a time. So if you're interested, I'll give the recording session for RDD, but this is not required to spend the time, I'm sure. So you have to concentrate on this. And Spark SQL. So of course, when you know the SQL, then you can understand the Spark SQL. So there are varieties of the transformations. I just kept it for. So this all going out. On data frame API, I'm just going to make a concentration more on it. Yeah, here it is. So how we are going to read the data from the data different files. Like if you have a JSON files, how you can read it. If you have a JSON files, like what we can say. So multi levels, if you have, then how you can read it. So that we are going to say as part of the Databricks. So we'll come across it. We'll say how exactly we can handle so that you can understand. And Parquet files, very, very important Parquet format. And Delta tables are going to have a Parquet format, and normal Parquet files also is going to store in the form of Parquet. And how we can read it from all these varieties of varieties of the flavors, we are going to say this is only for reading from the systems. So once you read it, then you have to think about the doing a transformation. So before going to the, like bigger transformations, then we need to know the basics first. If you don't understand that, then you cannot do it. Okay, so if I have a 3 tables or 4 tables, if I ask you, can you bring the data? If I give a target, you need to understand. First, you need to read the data from here, here, and here. So when data is coming from more than one place, then you have to think about the joining. So what kind of join? Is there any column we need to create? Or is there anything that we need to create any new column? So data cleansing currently in my current project, we have a data cleansing operations. So that it's a brand new project and we are just started. So I'm creating one framework. It was tested and it is working fine. I'll walk you through that, how I have created a framework to use it for all the tables. If I have 100 tables, for 100 tables, I don't need to apply cleansing rules. There are few rules are there as per my business requirement. And those rules I need to apply for all the tables. There are more than 100 tables are there in my case. So for each table, if I wanted to apply the rule, it is going to take longer time. It kills the development effort. So for that reason, I created one framework to apply for every table. So first you need to read the data from the source and keep that in the data frame. And if you give the data frame to this framework will go for each and every value and validate the data. So that framework I'll explain as part of our project requirement so that you can understand. If they ask what you have done as part of the Databricks, then you can say one of this. So from next Monday, I'm going to start one more framework. I'm trying to create it to apply because most of the tables we're applying upset operation. So upset operation, see, applying upset operation for single table is fine. But I wanted to make it framework. For all this, if I pass tables, for every table it has to work. That is how we need to do the development. Okay, so that kind of talk also I'm going to explain to you as part of our journey. So here we have a varieties of the transformations, how you can do it, data filtering, so column selection. Okay, so how we can filter the data or how we can do the data aggregation. This is a typo here. It is a data aggregation. So why we need to go for data aggregation? At what level we do go for data aggregation, we are going to see. So data combining is also is one of the operation, and there we have a performance tuning options, wide transformations, narrow transformations, shuffling. So varieties of the operations that we are going to do it. So window operations also is very important at the time of working, because if you wanted to remove the duplicates, so removing duplicates, how we are going to remove the duplicates is with the window functions. So if someone asks in the interview, how can you remove the duplicates? How can you remove duplicates? So most of the people, even I used to be there in the panel in my company. Okay, so if I ask, they used to say immediately, we can use the distinct. If I say without distinct, then immediately they will say group by. Okay, so because of that reason, I used to say before asking that question, I used to say, do not use distinct and group by, and then give me the answer. They will start using the row number, but they will give a delete. I don't know why they're going to give a delete. I'm not asking to delete it. I'm asking to remove. It doesn't mean that you're going to remove from your underlying data source. You're not having a privileges to remove anything from your source systems. Then how can you go and delete it? You have to write a select statement. Whatever the data is you're extracting, the data should get the unique records. If you're going for SCD types implementation, then you should not have a duplicates. So that is one of the data cleansing operation. So in that particular case, we are going to use the row number. So if it is a SQL, how you can do it? And if it is a PySpark, how you can do it? This is my question. PySpark. Okay, and this are all just this are all not that much important. This is for only at the time of working, but writing the data into the target is important. So writing the data into the target is very, very important that we are going to see. And there is a SQL library is available in the PySpark. Okay, so PySpark dot a SQL dot functions. So if you wanted to do the SQL kind of operation, then you need to have this library. You should know about this. So data frame API functions we are having. Data frame API also has its own functions. And if there is something which is not available, then you have to take the function from here. You have to take it. Now, if I wanted to say, if I wanted to take the call to take the column name, or if I wanted to go and apply AGG function, if you wanted to take it for multiple aggregations, then you have to take the function from here. So you should know about this. If you don't know about it, then you cannot do many operations. I know the data frame API, but still you have to know about the SQL functions. So which is there inside this module, PySpark module. So that also I'm just going to cover as part of this so that you can understand how we can create a columns. Okay, so many operations that we can take it from there only, from that particular place. So window functions also is going to be part of that. So here few things are missing. I need to update this content. So Unity catalog, when you go for data engineering project, Unity catalog is important. So creation of the Unity catalog most of the times is not your responsibility. Someone is going to take care about it. Azure administrators will be there. They will know about it. And you're just going to utilize it. They're going to have a catalog. They will give a catalog name. If it is a dev catalog, if there is a testing catalog, or if it is a prod catalog, they will give it. So for better data governance, we are going to use this Unity catalog. As part of our sessions, right from the beginning of setting up, we are going to see everything here. So traditionally, we used to have a Hive meta store. It is a default catalog. But people now, a couple of years back, this was introduced. So most of the people are using Unity catalog only. Okay, so this is very important that we are going to see. And connectivity with the Databricks. Connectivity with ADLS2 and ADB. So we are going to use the SPN, how you can use it. There are varieties of the ways are there to connect it and how we can mount and all those things we're going to talk about it. Along with that, performance tuning also we are going to talk it. Okay. And then one project, end-to-end project. End-to-end project, ADF plus ADB. So my end-to-end project is going to be there both together. So this project is going to take connections also dynamically, data sets, dynamic data sets, and pipelines are dynamic. Notebooks also few places I'm going to use. As I said right now, I created a frameworks. The similar kind of frameworks I'm going to show you. So at least three, if I show you, then you can understand if you get some requirement, if you feel there is some common activities. So that common activity, we can design a framework so that we can reuse it. So this kind of things we are going to see. And structured streaming also, I'm going to talk about it. Structured streaming. Only structured streaming, Spark structured streaming only, I'm going to talk about it. Okay, so these things. Along with that, we are going to have a interview discussions, interview question discussions. Okay, so the recordings will be provided 1 year. You are going to have a recording access, and material lifetime will be provided, and data sets will be provided to practice it. All the sample data sets. So installation support, everything will be there from my side. So you can reach out me to my number 9848486690. This is my number, and you can if I'm not responding to your call, please keep in chat. You can just keep a note in the chat. I'll respond surely because even I'm also working, so sometimes I may not respond directly to the calls. If I'm there in a class or if I'm there in a office, I may not respond. So please give a chat. Definitely, I'm going to respond. Okay. So that's all about it. And one more thing I forgot. I'm sorry. So there is a Microsoft Fabric also. I'm just going to touch. So this is going to really help you. Most of the things I'm going to cover as part of our Azure Data Factory and Azure Databricks. And Synapse. Basically, some people they used to ask, do you have experience with the Synapse? I'm sure the Synapse is going to be decommissioned, and we are going to have a Fabric only because the Synapse brought into this place into the Fabric. So if you know the Databricks and Data Factory, you know the more than 50% is in the Fabric. You can work with the Fabric also. Okay, so but I'm going to show you how we can set up the environment and how we can create a shortcuts. So shortcuts is the new concept, and uh, we have a data flow Gen 2 is the new one which is not available in the factory. In the factory also we have, I guess, but not with the UI. So whereas in Fabric we have a UI. The Lakehouse they brought it. So Lakehouse is nothing but Delta Lake plus Data Lake. Okay, so Data Lake plus Delta Lake is your Lakehouse. So there is an interview question. What is the difference between external tables and managed tables? Why we need to create a external table? Sometimes we are going to create a external tables and sometimes we are going to create a managed tables. Why? So that discussion we are going to see practically, and I'm going to talk about all these things. So I'm sure I'm going to spend like more than more than 150 scenarios I'm going to cover across. I did not count. If I'm correct, that will be more than 200 different use cases I'm going to take you through ADF and with ADB. So whenever I'm going to talk, that will be like a dynamic. The template, when you go and call in a data factory, we used to call it as a template. So if you create a template, that should work for many things. If I have a 20 tables for incremental loading, are you going to create a 20 pipelines or one pipeline? So that is the question. If it is one pipeline, then how you can design it? If source is not allowing to hit your source 20 tables at one shot, then how you can control it? So all those things I'm going to talk as part of our regular sessions. And scheduling is also, we are going to say, and why we need to go for that particular schedule. What is the purpose of it? Incremental file loading, incremental data loading, SCD type operations, SCD, I mean to say, what we can say, upsert operations, how you can do it, both data factory and Databricks, we're going to see. So this is briefly about this one, and for this one, you need to spend minimum 3 months with me. Okay, so just give me 3 months. I'm sure if you can follow with me, I'm also going to review your practice on the weekends individually. Okay, so I'll take your screen and I'll see how you're doing a practice. I'm sure. So you have to do the practice. If you don't do the practice, then these sessions are not going to help you. So most of us are working professionals. I know, or we know, we will be having less time. At least if we can spend 2 hours per day, that is more enough. 1 hour for session and 1 hour for practice. Okay, so you can easily get the job. If you can follow me, if you can listen my sessions, you just say when we go for talking about data-driven pipelines, then you can understand how we can do implementation if there is any new requirement comes into picture. Okay, so that is briefly about it. And from Monday, we are going to start the session from Monday at 7 p.m. IST to 8 p.m. IST. Okay, so that is the plan. And do let me know. You can just ping me to this number. Let me share my number in the chat again. So what time you're expecting? I have a slot for 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. Just give me your timings at what time it is suitable. Then I will plan accordingly. Okay. Any question, guys?
Of questions. So before learning this one, do we require like any prerequisite, Bhaskar? Because currently I have experience on Salesforce, but I have a zero knowledge. So
No prerequisite. I'll take care of everything from my side.
okay,
Only thing is you need to have a laptop with
okay,
8 GB RAM and internet.
okay. And I mean, do I need to learn any reporting tool, Bhaskar,
No,
or it's
not
not?
required. We are not going to work as a reporting.
Okay,
So we are going to give the data to the reporting team. If you're
okay,
already having a knowledge, that's fine. If you don't have, that is very better.
okay. And like one more question, Bhaskar.
Yeah,
So like,
please.
I mean, after completing this course, so I mean, like when I am going for any interview, are they going to ask like any Microsoft certification?
Most of the people will not work because will not ask because certification is different, working style is different. If they
Okay,
feel certification is enough, then they can give the job immediately.
okay,
But
okay.
definitely both will be different. And I'll give the dumps if you are interested to write the certification. I have a dumps. I'll give that, and you can just once you complete this course, if you go through them, then you can attempt your certification.
Okay. And for like all the this that installation account creation, so you are going to help,
I'm
right?
going to take care.
Okay. And also, I mean, as a Azure dev engineer, so do we need require like any DevOps also?
No, we don't need it, but basically they used to ask about CI/CD pipeline. So
Okay.
I'm going to walk you through how we can do CI/CD. So whatever we do as part of our learning path, the
Mm-hmm.
same thing you can say, I have a experience on it, but basically as a data engineer, you never work.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Even I did not work.
So while we are learning, any license is required, Bhaskar, for
No
the.
licenses. No
Okay.
licenses are required. All are
Okay.
free of cost only, except
Okay.
Azure. So you need to
Okay.
have a credit card to access cloud services. So except that, everything is fine.
Okay. So in the for this course, so we no need to go with anything, right? Everything is free, right?
Everything is free.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Bhaskar. Yeah. That's it
Thank
from
you.
my end.
Anyone else, guys?
Hi, Bhaskar. Good
Hi.
evening, and thanks for your session.
Thank you, Dasrat.
Yeah, and can you tell me more, or if you're covering up in the session, that is also fine. Like kind of SQL data warehouse you are going to cover up.
I'm going to cover the
With respect to
concepts.
that, like how we
Yes,
do final like dimensional fact table and the
we are going to
tracking.
see. Even in our project, the gold layer is there, right? I told like bronze, silver, gold.
Mhm.
Gold is going to have a fact and dimensions.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we are going to see. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi Bhaskar. So we'll be having Azure free subscription only for 1 month, right? So these
Yes,
sessions will be for 3 months, right? 3 months,
yes,
right?
yes.
So how can we practice until 3 months?
Yeah, here uh, multiple options are there. One option is you can have a multiple credit cards. That is one option. Okay. And you can also try with the debit card if it is allowing for free trial with a different account and different phone number. Even if it is not having, okay, so if you have only one credit card and you used for 1 month and rest of the 2 months are there, right? So this 2 months, what you can do is,
So
I'll tell you.
creating
Okay.
separate emails.
Uh,
Yeah.
even you have only one credit card, they will not allow multiple
Ah,
accounts with a single credit card. So here, by this time, we are going to complete the data factory. Okay. Mostly data factory will be completed. Now, second months are there, right? 2 months are there. 1 month we are going to spend with the data bricks. Okay. So this data bricks, I'm going to use the community edition. So when you use the community edition, again, we don't need to spend it. Okay. But I recommend to have a paid subscription because this Databricks always going to be connected with the ADLS only. I don't use internal storage. I always go with the external storage so that the real time, how the real time is working in the same way I'm going to explain. Okay, so what you can do is even if you take a paid subscription here, if you follow with me, you don't even get 500 for month, 500 rupees per month. So spending 500 per month is not a big deal. I'm using 8 hours with, I mean to say, my sessions itself 4 hours will be there. And out of 4 hours, I may spend 1 hour with the same. And other person also is using. So approximately on an average, we're using 8 hours. And I'm getting mostly 1500, max to max 1500 I'm getting. So spending 3000 is not a big deal, right?
yeah.
Okay, so but you need to be very care. I'll tell you how you can utilize the services so that we can reduce the cost.
Okay.
Okay, so
So what
here
will be the training fees?
what will be?
Training fee.
I'm not getting training timing or
Training fee.
training fee.
Yeah.
So training fee is 20K
Mm-hmm.
because this is a completely 3 months and I'm going to spend more time with you guys. And so because of that reason, we're keeping the 20K is because the quality you can check by the end of the sessions, you can feel how much you got from my side.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so I'm sure about if you can follow with me, I'm sure you can easily get the job.
Oh,
Yeah, anyone else having
Yeah.
any other question?
Hi, Bhaskar. Yeah, so can I know like what will be the like teaching pattern? Like one in 1 hour, like how much percentage it is for like lab or practically, or only theory part you will
No,
cover
no,
up in
no.
the session, and remaining we need to do the lab. Means how it is like.
No, basically this is completely job oriented. Okay. So
Yeah.
job oriented means we are going to have a use cases. Okay. This use cases is going to talk both theory will be there and practical will be there. So both together we need to go. Otherwise, you cannot understand. If I go only with theory, you cannot understand. I'm sure. You have to show practically and you need to explain. While doing a practice, while doing a practical walkthrough, in that place only I need to explain. You got my point, right?
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, that is really required.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Otherwise, it is if I say first theory and then if I go with practical, sometimes I may go with this, but while designing the pipeline, okay, so while designing the pipeline, why I'm taking it? What is the purpose of it? I have to explain what, each and everything. If I'm making something dynamic, how it is getting, how it is taking a dynamic, or what it is taking, or what it is changing. So everything I'm going to show you, you can feel once you spend at least next to 3 sessions, you
Yeah.
can join 3 sessions without payment. So you
Yeah.
can feel how I'm going to take you through that.
Yeah, sure.
And even in my sessions are there in Rudrasoft channel. You can also see how exactly I'm teaching.
Yeah.
You'll find.
Yeah, and thanks. Another
You got,
question.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, please
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, got it. So, and you are going to have like highlight like one project, means some you told like 1 or 2 projects, right? So from the initial days only, or in between you will start that the project actually.
So
The
basically project, you are going to do it. Most of the things. Okay. I will be there. I will be there with you, all of you, with all of you. Okay. So let's say if I take a ADF project, I'll give a context. I'll give a requirement. What transformations are required. And then I'm going to join with you. Everyone is going to do by their own. If anyone stucks at any place, then I'm going to help you. You got my point. But end-to-end project, I'm going to do along with you.
Okay, means yeah, this by defining the requirements on the daily basis, the concept related,
yeah.
you will give us some tasks. So
That is use cases will be there. Okay, so
Yeah.
that is different.
Yeah.
Project is going to be like, the context I'm going to give source and target, how you're going to bring the data from this place to this place.
So, and end to end, it will be different.
Yes, end to end, you have to do it in the ADF. But when it comes to the main project, that is ADF plus ADB, because I'm making many things dynamic. Okay, so when I do the dynamic, you cannot do directly. Okay, until unless I explain. So that we are going to say, I'm going to do it. You also going to do with me, along with me. But regular sessions, after my sessions, you're going to do the practice. But when it comes to the project, you are going to do along with me side by side. So that you can feel you're doing a real-time activities.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and it is not on a fabric, but fabric you will show at the
Fabric at the end. I'm just going to show you that whatever you have done in the data factory and Databricks, try to do the same thing with the fabric.
Yeah, and one last question.
Please.
This is like nowadays, earlier traditional one also worked in SSIS, but where we saw the as a storing the data, I means extracting and loading the data into database like SQL Server or Oracle. But whereas we are seeing as a now the Parquet or different CSV file extracting into the data lake.
Yes.
So now what will be the pattern while doing the project or means taking this course? It will
Basically, all data engineering projects are going to follow medallion architecture. Okay. So this architecture is going to have a bronze, silver, and gold. Okay. So this bronze is something like your staging database. When you compare with your traditional approach. Okay. So before that, there is a landing. So landing, you have to keep the data in one place and you're going to take it into the staging database. Okay, so there is a slight difference you can feel, but this bronze you can feel as a staging database. And gold is your data warehouse, DWH. And the silver is for data cleansing, basically. The reason why we are not keeping the aggregated data is here is because data scientists are also going to take the data from our side only. They don't take the raw data. There is no use of taking raw data for them, and there is no use of gold data also because that is aggregated. So they don't need aggregated data. Aggregated data is required only for reporting. Then how about the data scientists? If they wanted to run their models, then they're going to take the data from the silver layer. So one more layer came into the picture.
Okay.
So this is the best practice.
So this is like a as is data, silver
Yes.
almost from the source.
Yes.
It will be. And this will be in a like file format, right? Or it will be in a
Basically,
Yeah.
their underlying storage is a file, but it is a table. We are going to have a time travel also can do, whereas in SQL Server or any databases, we cannot do it.
So
Let's
that
say,
is
yeah,
okay,
if I
delta
wanted
V.
to go for 1 days back or 2 days back, without having a backup, you cannot do that. But here, you can do it because we are going to have a versioning.
File
So
version.
what? Yeah, file versioning will be there. I'll tell you how we can do all this stuff. How we can,
Okay.
how we can go forward, how we can go
Yeah.
backward. So
Hmm.
basically, versioning, we will go for backward. So
Yeah, but
how we can handle, we'll see that. We are going to see.
we are not going to use any database here, right? Like
No,
SQL Server,
basically,
data warehouse and all. It
yeah.
will be
So if I say now, you may get little confusion.
there.
All this bronze is a database. Basically, this is also database. This is also database. Previously, there were completely file systems. Now Delta Lake introduced. Once Delta Lake was came into market, this is a database. But data sits in some place. It is going to have only metadata. So Unity catalog, I told you, right? So that is what it is going to have here.
Okay.
You can write a SQL
will make it
statement.
so.
You can do the DML operations. No stored procedures, no stored functions.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
Yeah, you will get better clarity once the course is completed.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, thanks for this.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else, guys?
Bhaskar, one last question.
Yeah,
So
please.
the course timing would be like in morning or like evening?
I have a plan in the evening only because in the morning already occupied. So
Okay.
I have a plan in the evening.
Is there any planning for the morning, Bhaskar? Like, I mean, not now, any upcoming, like this month ending or
Yeah,
anything?
by first week of next month or by month end, I'm going to have a one session at 7 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, okay, sure. Thanks, Bhaskar.
Yeah, thank you.
This can be, yeah, thanks. And this can be at 8 p.m. Means sometimes it will be late for me to reach home.
Okay.
So, I don't know, I'm just checking with you whether it is okay at 8 p.m. or in the early morning also it is fine. Means because
Okay,
7
I'll
p.m.
take
it
a
is like,
times or from your side, I'll take the times. We'll plan. I have a 6 a.m. slot also, but most of working professional may not wake up at this point of time. So this is little difficult, but I'll take a feedback from you so that
I'm okay for 6 a.m. But I will request other peoples to comment
yeah,
on
yeah.
however they wish.
So
Or 8 p.m. Yeah, because 6 to
8
7 is
p.m. I
early.
have a problem for myself because my stand-ups will start from the 8 a.m. Continuously, I have a meetings till 9:30. So because of that reason, I'm
No,
not able to.
evening 8 p.m.
Yeah, sorry, 8 p.m. it is.
Ah,
It's 8 p.m. only.
okay. Yeah, I mean, 6 a.m. I'm okay until, yeah, however you wish, until morning session if it
Yeah,
is.
I have a 6 a.m.,
Hmm.
6 p.m. and 7 p.m. These three are there presently. If you can give a feedback to this number, what time you're expecting, then I will plan accordingly.
Yeah, means preferably 6 a.m. if not 7 p.m.
Yeah, 6
6
a.m. is
p.m. is,
also I recommend to.
yeah, 6 a.m. is,
We can save a lot of time.
yes, yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
please comment other people on this. Yeah, okay. Thanks.
Yeah, so I hope my number is there with everyone. And
Yeah, but one
yeah.
more question. So
Yeah,
I do
please.
have 4 years of experience in Azure Data Engineer only, but it was like monitoring tool. We'll be using only AD for the monitoring. So it was like completely support. So if I shift from this company to another company with 4 years of experience, so how much package can I expect?
How much you're having right now?
Right now I do have 5.5
You will get more 10.
Okay.
Surely you will get it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you don't get, let me know. I'll help you how you can get it.
Sure, sure. So we just completely need like this knowledge itself, right?
Yeah, this is
How
more and
we are
more enough.
transforming all this data and all
Yeah.
those things.
So
So that is important. Package
yeah,
is later, but
definitely. See,
yeah,
package is also important if you ask
yeah,
me.
yeah, that is also important.
So
How?
surely, okay.
Yeah. So how can I get this content? Like,
You just ping me. I think if you're part of the community, then you
yeah,
will
yeah, I
get
am
this
part
content.
of that community.
I'll say that. Okay, so
Okay.
I think it is already there.
Let me check.
Okay, so
Yeah.
in the meeting content, I already said. Okay, so this data factory is almost up to the date, but Databricks need to change the content. There is a many additional new contents are there, so that I need to do it.
And also, will you be explaining like store procs views completely or
No,
see?
no. Do not go back again. So stored
Uh,
proc is the traditional.
mm-hmm.
Because of that reason, that Databricks came into picture.
No. Like we will be developing SQL queries, like right for procs and all this.
We are
So,
going to see the how we can create a store procedures, but that procedures only for handling the metadata, not for
huh.
actual data.
Okay.
Actual data, doing a transformation with the stored procedure, then going and staying with data engineering services, there is no meaning for that.
Okay.
You have to redesign the stored procedure logic with Databricks.
Okay.
So that is even in my current project, we are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
We are migrating all the procedures into Databricks.
Mm-hmm. Okay. In our project, they are using only store proc, so we
Because we
have
are using only
difficult.
data factor, right?
Yeah.
So if you use Databricks, then only you can see the like importance of transformations.
Yeah. So when they last debug, na, I was not able to do the
That is very
debugging. Like,
difficult. Very
yeah,
difficult. You have to run the entire code.
entire code. Like they are manipulating the data. Like they are doing on the spot itself. Like whenever there is a failure in ADF.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that is difficult. Basically, data that's not pure data engineering project.
Ha.
Okay, if they have a
Okay.
medallion architecture, then only you can say that is a pure data engineering.
Ha.
Okay, then I hope I answered most of you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Bhaskar.
thank you, and we'll see on Monday.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks.
for joining.
One last.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, means at the last you are going to help on some certification if required. Right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to.
Yeah.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
Okay, so definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.